Thomas, another thing in life that can break us is doubt, especially when we doubt God Himself. Perhaps the one person most closely associated with the word doubt would be the disciple Thomas. Many call him Doubting Thomas because of his encounter with Jesus and the other disciples following the resurrection. There are two distinct, yet similar encounters that the scriptures record. Let's take a look. The first situation took place when Jesus appeared to the disciples without Thomas. The door is closed and they are assembled and Jesus is suddenly in their midst. He says, "Peace be with you," and then shows them His hands and His side. He also tells them that He is sending them out into the world as the Father sent Him. Jesus departs and they relate the story to Thomas after this incredible event. His response is what we remember. He tells them that he will not believe unless he sees the nail prints in his hands, put his finger in the nail holes and his hand on Jesus' side where he was pierced with a spear on the cross. 8 days later, the same scenario down to the last detail occurs and Jesus appears again, this time with Thomas in the room. Jesus immediately invites Thomas to look and see his hands and to reach out and touch his hands and his side. He says to Thomas, "Do not be unbelieving, but believe." John's Gospel records Thomas' response. He did not reach out and touch Jesus, instead he immediately fell down at His feet and said, "My Lord and my God." Thomas immediately believes. Pastor Selwyn Hughes said, Thomas had a moment of doubt, but he came back from that place of weakness to become strong. His doubts were allayed in one glorious moment of illumination, and so can yours. It has been said, doubt your doubts and believe your beliefs. Thomas took his doubts about Jesus to Jesus and he was made stronger at his broken place. His doubt about Jesus was turned into a deeper faith in Jesus. Thomas didn't stay a doubter. Instead, he took to heart the answer to his doubt and became a strong follower of Christ. What about you? To get more from this plan, listen to Strong at the Broken Places podcast series and download the study guide at xit.edu/strong.
That Sunday evening, the disciples were meeting behind locked doors because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders. Suddenly, Jesus was standing there among them. "Peace be with you," He said. As He spoke, He showed them the wounds in His hands and His side. They were filled with joy when they saw the Lord. Again He said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I am sending you." Then He breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, they are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they are not forgiven." Jesus appears to Thomas. One of the 12 disciples, Thomas, nicknamed the twin, was not with the others when Jesus came. They told Him, "We have seen the Lord." But He replied, "I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in His hands, put my fingers into them, and place my hand into the wound in His side." 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and this time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. "Peace be with you," He said. Then He said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Put your hand into the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe." "My Lord and my God," Thomas exclaimed. Then Jesus told him, "You believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me."